Hello and welcome to A Bettor Morning, presented by Rival Fantasy. I'm Heather Klein. Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform. Let's welcome today's panel. Award-winning host, the fantasy exec, Corey Parson. Host of Her Story in the Making, Britt's Fantasy Blitz, and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. Senior managing editor of Fantasy Alarm and host of the Quick Out Fantasy Football Show and Fantasy Alarm DFS shows, Jon and Pemba. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning. How are we doing?
Morning, guys.
Hey.
Looking great. Got some more preseason on. It's almost football season. I'm buried in drafts. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, this Friday kicks off what is it, like 14-day stretch of just drafts every day for me, basically. So we're here.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Well, we have our last week of the preseason, so let's get started. We've a week from now, we'll finally have this is the last week of preseason, and then we finally have the first week of the NFL. I know we are so excited, but jobs are on the line and final rosters are being made. Tonight we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at Atlanta Falcons. Jon, what are you looking for in tonight's game?
Listen, obviously it's preseason game number 3, so I think the most important thing to come out of this is going to be health. We have some reports that the initial starter is going to be on the field for a little bit of that, and obviously you're looking at Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, that side of the ball for the Steelers, and on the Falcons side, Desmond Ridder, Drake London, Pitts, and then Bijan Robinson. So I would like to see those guys get out there maybe for a series or two. Maybe play the first quarter and see how things go. But ultimately, I'm just looking for health. When it comes to roster bubble guys, no one's really looking to me that I think is going to be a fantasy impact player this year. Maybe we'll be guys to see if Jalen Warren makes another big play or two and kind of continues to hype himself up there after last week's preseason game. Be interested to see how much Allen Robinson continues to play with the first team offense and what his snap share looks like when they're on the field and sort of the formations that they use there. But not a ton of guys on the roster bubble that I think are going to make any sort of impact. I'm mostly looking that we come out of this game healthy.
Yeah, shout out to preseason football. Fun to have it on TV tonight, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to these two teams, and really, I think Jon really hit one of the main points on the head is health. We want to make sure that everybody get out this game, get healthy. So then this way they can get back and get ready for the start of the season and we can feel comfortable about drafting these people. I'm watching these quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying? I think one is set up for a good season. I think one is set up to maybe struggle this season. So I want to see what Desmond Ridder is all about, what he's going to be able to do. And obviously I think this is Kenny Pickett's season. So I want to see Pickett continue his growth into what I think could be a quarterback that leads the team to the playoffs in the very tough AFC this year, So I'm looking forward to seeing these quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, and then Ditter, and obviously Ridder, I said Ditter. Ridder, obviously, and then Warren I want to see as well. And if they throw Bijan out there, he might be 1-1 by the time the weekend is over.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for just because I'm not sure if the Falcons are actually even going to play their starters. It's really unfortunate because, like you guys mentioned, I want to see how that offense operates all together. I want to see what Desmond Ridder looks like. I selfishly want to watch Bijan Robinson because I love watching him play. As far as the Steelers go, it's pretty across the board with all three of us. I want to look at Kenny Pickett and see if he's made marked improvements as a passer. I want to know if he favors Deontay Johnson or George Pickens more. In their last preseason game, Deontay Johnson didn't even get a target. And although I'm kind of the opinion that he's still going to be the safety valve for Pickett and that Pickens will be the red zone deep threat guy, I just want to see for myself. I really need that confirmation bias before we get into this gauntlet of drafts that we were talking about.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything that everybody said. We talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, though. I think this wide receiver situation still could be a little bit fluid. So I'm curious and interested to see that. But when it comes to Atlanta, right, I think, and who is Atlanta's quarterback going to be next year? I think it's going to be Kyler Murray.
Do you think they're going to trade? So
he's not going to play behind Caleb Williams.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if Caleb Williams is even coming out, though. He made a comment the other day saying that he's not even sure that he's going to declare for the draft. And so if he ends up staying in college another year, that's going to toss everything on its head. And everybody's tanking plans are going to go in the toilet.
Can you imagine tanking for Drake May? I mean, he could be the guy, you know what I'm saying? But I don't believe he's Caleb, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that I think it's curious to see who the Falcons quarterback is going to be next year.
I would say that I would rather actually see Heineke be the quarterback for Atlanta at some point this year, just from a fantasy perspective. I think he probably opens up the passing game a little bit more than Ritter could, and unlock maybe some upside that we get out of London or Pitts. He wasn't a terrible quarterback when he was playing for the Commanders. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to take much if that team starts off slow in a division that's pretty winnable for Atlanta maybe to make a change at the position. So,
John, you just don't think that you think it's the quarterback thing? I think the dude, Arthur Smith, is just like, I'm not throwing the football.
Yeah, but so probably accurate, but I just don't know if Ritter is even a good enough game manager for that style of play either. I mean, maybe. Again, last year he was a rookie. We'll see if he can kind of get up to speed or not, but he was drafted as a raw passer as it was. And again, this is a division that they could go out and win right now. So if they get off slow and it's the quarterback that's the problem, I could see Heineke swapping in. And then that to me, that would be a better for all fantasy players.
I just want to address the comments in the chat saying
let's
take
wait.
Lance to the Falcons.
Can we wait?
All I'm going to say is that everybody's crapping on Ritter about being a developmental raw passer, and then you want Trey Lance. It doesn't make any sense. This guy hasn't played a football game in 4 years.
Right? They would be just running RPOs all day, right? They'd be
all day long.
Much more of a running football team. That Arthur Smith might like that. He can run a little bit with Ritter, but he'd run a lot with Lance. But that ain't going to solve their problems either.
We're here to get you ready for your fantasy football draft. Start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription and get the Fantasy Football Draft Guide and Chat Sheet free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/draft. It's been announced that Sam Darnold will back up Brock Purdy for the San Francisco 49ers. Trey Lance was absent from practice yesterday, which is a huge sign that his future is in jeopardy in San Fran. There are rumors for the 2021 third-round pick is being shopped and could be a great backup quarterback for some teams. Do you think Lance will be traded prior to the start of the season? And if so, where would he be a good fit? John, you're up first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know where he would be a great fit because, again, how raw of a prospect that he is. I mean, there are obviously some places that could need some quarterback depth. You look at Tampa Bay, and they only have Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask there. We just mentioned, obviously, Atlanta is a team that could be in need of a quarterback. Is there a system that he could go to and maybe develop under? I mean, possibly, but again, he's thrown only a handful of passes basically over the last 5 years. I mean, I just think that he was never a guy that fit the system that Shanahan wanted to play. I almost wonder if they made that trade to move up. And, there was a lot of rumors that Mac Jones was the guy that they were going after. And I think maybe the media sort of could have gotten in the head there of their upper management. Is like, you made that trade up to go get Mac Jones, like when Trey Lance is the prospect on the board, and they drafted a guy based off upside because of what they gave up instead of the guy that would have fit the Shanahan system. And Shanahan's like, I am not playing this guy. I'm going to go and play Purdy. I'm going to play Sam Darnold because they're a traditional quarterback, but they can run the offense that I want to run. So I just don't see that ever being the right fit for Shanahan, and he's basically making that known right now by putting a guy like Sam Darnold, who we also know can't play in this league, confidently as the backup quarterback.
So the question was, where's a good fit for Trey Lance? I think the Birmingham Stallions of the USFL would be the perfect team for Trey Lance. John nailed it. This draft pick was never supposed to be Trey Lance. The people in the media got into the 49ers war room. And that picture, I keep telling people this, that shirtless picture of Mac Jones is the reason why Mac Jones slid down the draft board. And I remember that summer, I remember that draft, and everybody was talking up Trey Lance. And I was like, oh, no. This guy played one halfway decent year at South Dakota State. And the 49ers took him with the 3rd pick in the draft. And this is what's crazy. When you criticize him, people act like, oh, you're not giving him a chance. It's only been a couple games. The team practices. They see him in practice. They know he sucked. They made a mistake. It's one of the worst picks in NFL history. Let's just get over it. Stop making excuses for Trey Lance. He stinks. That's it. The worst draft pick maybe in NFL history. I'm not exaggerating. This is a guy that hasn't got on the field since 2019. He can't play. When people criticize him, they go to the coach, they ask the coach about it, and the coach say he got to have thick skin.
Yeah, I was going to say that Trey Lance might go down as the worst pick in history, but I'm pretty sure that Corey nailed that one, so I don't have to cover that. I don't really know if any NFL team has any interest in him. The 49ers have basically shown their hand, said that he stinks. Why would anybody want to trade for him? Again, this may go down as one of the worst picks in NFL draft history with all the draft capital that the 49ers gave up to move him. And Lance is athletic, sure, but everybody in the league is athletic, or else they wouldn't be in the league. It takes more than athleticism to be a good quarterback, and he just doesn't have it. From what's being reported, they gave him every chance to develop, and he just didn't. Yes, people say that he's been injured. I know he hasn't played that much, blah, 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 blah. But he's missed basically 4 years that this guy hasn't played. And I don't know if anyone's going to take a chance on him after that not-so-subtle smear campaign that the 49ers put out against him. Maybe the Vikings, because Kirk Cousins is getting a little long in the tooth. But, I mean, it's going to be hard to shop this guy.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously getting the game there, Tommy's saying Jamarcus Russell, but they didn't trade up for Jamarcus Russell. They didn't give all that equity up to draft Jamarcus. They took him number 1 overall. He was not a good football player, but, the 49ers had a deal, multiple years worth of draft picks to go up and get Trey Lance. So it cost them not just a single year, but set their, I'm not going to say it set their franchise back, but I mean, lost them some quality talent that they could have been drafting. Never mind the guys that went after Trey Lance in that draft. Almost all of them are studs. So they could have really done some things there.
Look at this. It's the system. It's the system. We're talking about Kyle Shanahan. It's the most quarterback-friendly system in the NFL. How is it the damn system? It's always an excuse for Trey Lance. He sucks. Forget about it. And then you want to say Mac Jones. Mac Jones took the team to the playoffs in his rookie year.
Yep, had the second best completion percentage for a rookie behind Dak Prescott in NFL history. So can't really argue with that.
Dak Prescott.
I couldn't resist getting a Dak Prescott.
You know what, though? This is so interesting. I saw something the other day about Dak Prescott that kind of actually made me smile. Despite the interceptions, you know what Dak Prescott record is as a starter? 61-36.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
very impressive. I give him his props.
Cowboys win games, man.
Not
when it matters.
Not the big ones, John.
Not the big.
It's coming. Pause. Shout out to Cam and Mace.
Oh my goodness, you are too funny.
Oh boy,
it is a bad time to. Your favorite, Corey. It is a bad time to be a Los Angeles Angels fan. After being activated on Tuesday, Mike Trout is returning to the IL. To add insult to injury, Shohei Ohtani has torn his UCL, and all signs say he won't pitch again this season. What does this mean for the American League MVP? It seemed like a lock for Ohtani to win the award, but do you think this paves the way for another AL player to win the award? Corey, you're up first.
As soon as I saw this thing with this guy, with this UCL with this guy, I'm like, here we go again. Hey, you know what? For as talented as he is, it just hit me. He can't stay on the field. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he can't stay on the field because he's doing both things. His body is going in too many directions. He's swinging, he's pitching, he's playing every day. You know what I'm saying? He turned, they kept the dude. They didn't trade him when they had a chance to. Now this is his second UCL. I'm not correct, right?
Yeah.
So now in the same arm, or he tore the other one too?
Yeah, he didn't have surgery the first time though. So we'll see.
So now he's going to have surgery. So you got to do the Tommy John thing. Is he going to be able to bat? And then you want to get this guy the MVP? Let's get him the MVP, and then let's just go down to this last 2 or 3 years as the Shohei Ohtani era. And let's forget about it because the guy can't stay on the field. You know what I'm saying? He don't stay on the field. He's never going to play in October. It's another Babe Ruth. It's another make-believe thing.
Oh, the mythical creature that is Babe Ruth. But yeah, you hit on a very important point. As good as Ohtani is, the big question hanging over him at the beginning of the season and throughout the season was how durable he would be. And now, unfortunately, that question's kind of been answered. There's still a whole other month left in the regular season. And if you don't finish the year, I'm sorry, I don't care how good you've been. It's hard to win MVP. Like, sure, he's been absolutely dominant, but missing an entire month and likely the team missing the playoffs is a big deal. He was sitting at negative 30,000 before the injury, so he may still be able to do it. But now I'm actually looking at Corey Seager to potentially make his way up the odds list and kind of take this away from Ohtani. He's sitting at plus 10,000 right now, which doesn't sound great, but it's the next closest odds. And he's been very good. 3.43 batting average, a 106 OPS, 23 home runs. Seager has brought a lot of life back to the Rangers. And if anyone's going to make a play to swoop in and take the AL MVP, it's going to be him.
Yeah, by all accounts, Ohtani is expected to continue to play, but only as a hitter, which is fine because he probably would have won the MVP as just an offensive player anyways, given the way that he's been going. And just doing some quick looks up right now. It's a slight tear in his UCL. This is what he suffered before, where he didn't end up having surgery. But, now he's going into a big free agent year. There's going to be a lot more due diligence done on that elbow for anybody that was looking to give him the $600 million contract that he might have been, looking for, this offseason, knowing now that they're a dual threat player, a guy that was a Cy Young contender, an MVP hitter at the plate, might be just an MVP hitter at the plate now, because if he does have to pitch, he'll need to have Tommy John surgery, which will cost him at least 6 or so months. So you saw Bryce Harper have to do that. Wasn't able to play the field for most of this year. Just started playing first base to take the stress off of that elbow. And was really slow out of the gate hitting the baseball until recently either. So they could be losing an entire year of Ohtani here for anybody giving him that big contract in the offseason if that elbow needs to go out there and be repaired. So, he still should play. But if I'm him, I would probably consider sitting down and seeing if surgery is an option just for my own well-being. Get that surgery, get the elbow healed up, and be closer to returning next year than you would be if you waited till the offseason.
Yeah, I can't imagine him coming back out there and playing when he reportedly needs surgery and then risking making that tear worse, into a complete tear, or anything like that, because he does have a huge contract coming his way. I think that he does sit, even if he can. I don't see him finishing out the season. It's not very smart for him.
GM needs to be fired now at this point. You didn't sell Ohtani. You immediately tanked. You traded for a pitcher that I think most people, Lucas Giolito was not your savior. No matter what they went out and got there and traded for. Just a mistake all around for a GM that was trying to save his job, and it definitely backfired on him.
Hey, he needed to pick one and go with it. How about that? Let's do that. Let's pick one and go with it. Say, hey, I'm done with pitching. My UCL can't take this no more. Let me just go hit 60 home runs and not do the Babe Ruth thing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just go and play baseball and pick a side and stick to it. All the switching back and forth, you're confusing the baseball guys.
If he had the Tommy John surgery when he first hurt his elbow like 4 or 5 years ago,
he's been good,
it might have been fine because he was 23, 24 years old. Now he's going to be entering his age 30 season, potentially going off Tommy John. That is
washed up.
It's not the right time age-wise for him to go through that.
Things hit different in your 30s.
Yes, they do.
Tell me about it. Hey, and I just turned 35. Listen, they need to stop with this foolishness. I don't want to talk about Ohtani no more. Take him off the sheet, Heather.
Corey has spoken. Let me make sure this ticker's off the bottom. Corey speaks. All right. On that note, play Challenges Fantasy Bingo plus season-long fantasy football. New users who sign up at Rival Fantasy get up to a $200 deposit match and a complimentary first play voucher. Go to joinrival.com/alarm. Today, we're going to play the Challenges game where 2 players go head-to-head and you choose which guy will score more fantasy points. Britt, let's see what you got today.
Yeah, so we're going to play the challenges game, and this is a game in which you pick which player is going to score more fantasy points, as it says right here. Super fun, super easy. The first one that is randomly generated is Merrill Kelly of the Diamondbacks versus Patrick Corbin of the Nationals. I don't really know a lot about these two pitchers, to be honest, so you can click that little info button. It shows you the actual points that they have scored, their projected points, and then up here it shows you their average fantasy points per game. So 18.85 is pretty good. So let's go over here and check out Corbin. He is down at 10.83. So right off the bat, I'm looking at Merrill Kelly. Then you consider that Corbin is going against the Yankees. They've been pretty bad, so that might bump him up a little bit. But the last time he scored double-digit fantasy points was July 9th. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Kelly. Select him right here. Just put your selection of your dollar amount on there. Click place bet. Your entry's confirmed. If we want to keep doing this and do a couple more, Aaron Judge and Brian Hayes, I don't know who that is, so I'm going to skip that. JP France and Patrick Corbin. I would probably go with France again here. But again, you can click the info. It gives you all of the stats and data for you. So makes all your research very easy and is a really fun, easy game to play and have a stake in some baseball games.
Yeah, I like your Merrill Kelly pick there. Yankees have the number 3 offense in baseball against left-handed pitching.
Really?
Patrick Corbin, one of the worst left-handed pitchers, maybe one of the worst pitchers in baseball over the last couple of years. Nationals gave him a big fat contract that he basically has never been able to live up to. Aaron Judge homered 3 times last night off of the Nationals lefty starter that they had out there. So I would go Kelly against the Reds tonight over Corbin for sure.
Hey, the Yankees ain't throw the towel in yet.
They won last night. It was 9-1.
Yeah, so they've sort of thrown in the towel. They've called up. They recently called up. It's like 2 of their 3 top prospects, and basically said these guys are going to play. They're just going to play, get their experience. They have Volpe hitting like in a cleanup spot now to give him more of that experience in that lineup. They moved Jason Dominguez to AAA, who's their number 1 prospect in their organization. Try to get him accelerated on that roller coaster there. So, I mean, their season's basically done, but now it's all about getting the young guys the experience. And Washington kind of sucks, so you can just beat up on them.
Yeah, what a disgrace.
Disgrace.
A disgrace.
This is why we have John on for the baseball. I can explain the game. John can explain the stats.
Thank you. I appreciate that, John. They need to do something better than that. They need to hire Don Mattingly, but I'm not going to go there.
Boone's probably done, even though it's more of a general manager issue at this point, I think, for the Yankees. Their personnel decisions over the last handful of seasons have not really worked out. They traded.
Who do you replace him with, though? That's the thing, because you fire somebody like Brian Cashman, who you just can't go get somebody off the bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? There'll be guys that they could find. It won't be somebody that they'll have probably within their organization. There'll be a managerial search that would happen. But, again, I don't think it's a Boone necessarily problem. But, if you look at the GM, they traded for Frankie Montas last year, even though his home road splits were very indicative of the fact that he was really only successful pitching, in his home ballpark last year. Moves in the Yankee Stadium, gets hammered. They go and sign Carlos Rodon to a huge deal this offseason. Immediately has issues, back problems, comes off the IL, hasn't pitched really well for them. It's been mistake after mistake after mistake for them in the free agent market of late, and really has set them, especially this season, back a bit.
That was today's edition of A Bettor Morning. Thank you to Corey, Britt, and John. Make sure you check out Real-Time Fantasy Sports Show at 12 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed any of our shows, you can find them all on our YouTube channel and at bettorsports.com. We wish everyone a better